There we go. Hi, everybody. It's Jill here with Illuminating Women, and we are having a lunch break and learn opportunity. This is part 2 of Mastering LinkedIn. And during this time, and when we go post-COVID-19, we need powerful tools to help us be seen and heard. And I welcome everybody who joined us today, because when we learn and keep going and empowering ourselves, it just helps our success. So today I want to just remind you that this is being recorded. It will be on the Illuminating Women YouTube channel. You will be able to see part 2, part 1, which we did last week. This is part 2, and then part 3 will be next Wednesday, same place, same format, the whole bit. Well, I want to welcome to you this wonderful woman who has really taught a lot of us about how to use LinkedIn to our best, that works best for us. So welcome, Christine Zomorodian, to this place, and just take it away. Just give us a quick synopsis of what you did last time, and then get us right into today's lesson.
Sure. Thank you, Jill. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, so what we covered last time was the basics of LinkedIn, you know, kind of how to navigate it. What does the front page look like when you enter? What are the different parts of it? How do you navigate? And we did a light touch on what your profile is and how that's different than your business's. And just a very quick overview of sort of the various parts and of the whole interface, because there's a lot to it. They've been building this for quite a while. So Microsoft bought the product. It was independent before, and I think maybe it's been 2 years since they bought it. And a lot of changes have happened. Not all of them, all of us are happy with, particularly groups, but I won't dive into that negative side too much. They have been building out the tool, and there's a lot of parts today that we're going to talk about that I think people have no idea about. And so that's where we're going to focus today. And today we're going to cover how to build your profile, and talking about what you want to share on LinkedIn. Then we're going to talk about exploring the work section and the learning tabs, and some things underneath that. And lastly, just a light touch on the articles feature, which is something you can write your own articles instead of having a WordPress or another kind of a blog. So, all right, on that note, I'm going to take it away. Can everybody, Jill, can you see my screen? Okay, great. All right, so this is the home screen, and I logged in, I guess, about 10 a.m. this morning. And so you'll see right there, this is a feature that you need to know about. You click on new posts, okay? And that brings you to the top of the feed, right? So here we go. I clicked on it, and it's starting to show me things that are actually interesting to me. But especially when you're first getting used to LinkedIn, remember to come up here. We talked about this last time, but it's here, it says sort by top. I don't want it to sort by top, because that's LinkedIn deciding what I want to see by what's popular. So what's popular for me has been refined over years, but it might just be very random stuff that they think you're going to want. So always click on recent. And as you are kind of refining your feed, which that I won't cover refining your feed till part 3, but write that phrase down, refining your feed. As you do that more and more, you'll see, if you do by recent, you'll see people that you want to follow. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about some things like building your profile. Okay, so I can get to my profile 2 different ways. One, I can click over here. You see that I was sort of in a little arrow configuration, and as I move over to my name, which is always in the upper left-hand corner. By the way, if you log into LinkedIn and it's not you in the upper left-hand corner, you're not logged in as you, you're logged in as somebody else. There you go. So I can click here, or I can come over here under the me. You see where it says me, and I click the down arrow. I just click, it goes to the down arrow. And then I go to view profile, okay? So I'm not gonna do that at the moment because I have another tab opened. We're just gonna jump over there. So this is what my profile looks like, okay? And I'm going to spend a tiny bit of time on mine, and then I'm going to probably pick on somebody. So I'm going to want to volunteer to pick on. So anyone that's been working on their profile this week, you could be the candidate, and it won't be a mean pick at all. It'll just be, let's talk about your feed, and maybe you'll benefit from some things I say. So when I get to that moment, I'll ask one of you to raise your hand or something, or or Jill have, I guess you can unmute yourself, I think, but anyway. Okay, so we talked last time a little bit about the about section. So that's in the part 1 video. It's important to have an about section because that describes who you are, right? So go back and look at part 1 and figure that part of it out. Okay, so another part of it is, and we didn't cover quite as in depth, was your experience. So a few things show up here. And again, this is covered in part 1. Your dashboard depends on who you are and how you're signed up, what shows up in your dashboard. It also shows up, it depends on what you're doing. So I have an article that went up last week, and apparently I have 121 views of the article, which is actually less than I was hoping for. But anyway, whatever. 191 people viewed my profile. And again, this is a monthly tally rather than a weekly, a total tally. So, and I appeared, and this is by the week. So they don't give you this information, but the search appearance is for the week. The article view is for the whole lifetime of the article, and the who viewed your profile is for the last month. So whatever, people. Okay, activity. This is where if you like things, or you comment, or you post, or you write articles, that will show up in your activity list here. Okay, and this is different. Oh, I've learned recently that what shows up for me as my activity list is different than what other people see for my activity list. But it's just a nice reminder of how busy you've been in the last 4 things you did. Okay, experience. This is what I want to talk about. So we've had a lot of conversation so far about the realities of the gig economy and the fact that a lot of people aren't working in maybe their initial area of expertise or training. You know, maybe someone was in HR and they went into cooking. You know, different people have been making different career transitions. And sometimes you want to completely let go of what you did in the past and have no representation. And sometimes it's not a bad idea to show your background. And that has to do with, you know, people about being relatable, right? So for example, Deborah, I think it was Deborah that had an insurance background, I believe. And, you know, it doesn't hurt for her to put in something in there to indicate she had a past career, because it just sort of builds her credibility as a thinking human being who's had a career, and probably a very successful career. People like to see that, right? But her focus is going to be on what she's doing now, which is her catering and her chef services, right? And any extension of that branding that she's deciding to make, okay? So what you put here can reflect both what you're doing right now and also your history. And in terms of history, some of us are not young, and you don't have to give everything you ever did in your work history. So so let's look at mine for a really quick example, because I have quite a bit. And the reason I have quite a bit is there's some people I'm trying to attract to my profile who are interested in stuff that I did a really long time ago, but it is my scientific foundation of why I do what I do now. So I have to include it, okay? So here you'll show that I have 5 more experiences. So this is very long in the tooth experience feed. I've got my current position in my business. I got my current position at University of Washington. I have my volunteer history. I talked about that before, where I have done significant amounts of leadership positions in the volunteering world, and leadership is always good. So if you have a leadership position in a nonprofit or a volunteer organization, definitely put there. Or if you've been volunteering a very long time consistently, that's another reason to have it. Why is it in my experience section? This is supposed to be about work, because I had people wanting to recommend me, and you can only make recommendations for something in someone's work history. And what was happening is I had a guy who was writing glowing things about me, and he's in the piano marketing business in the classical music world. He kept trying to comment on my consulting, right? Well, that's just not going to work, because, dude, you don't know a thing about what I do consulting. So anyway, I had to bundle everything up and put it in there. That's kind of unusual sometimes. You don't have to follow that model. Okay, so anyway, if you go down here, you'll see I have all this stuff. You don't have to put this many things. I mean, I go all the way back to, God help us all, 1985. And the reason is that is the foundation of what I do now. So I had to include it, okay? So I don't recommend having your history go that far unless it relates directly to what you're doing now, or unless it was a very significant part of your history and it relates in some way or supports what you're trying to do now, okay? So you can also bundle things differently, you know. So anyway, that's just the light touch on that. Then there's education, and you'll notice here, so I did my master's degree at University of Washington, and it was really recent, right? Well, not really recent, it was 10 years ago. Okay. However, my bachelor's degree was a long time ago. It's important that people know where I went to school, that I got my degree. There is no dates on that. You'll notice only the top 2 items show a date. My master's degree and the ongoing training that I've been doing in my profession, and I tend to do it through this organization. Okay, I have other entries in here too. I could have put dates around American Society for Quality, but I kind of just decided I didn't need to, because first of all, my auditor certification expired, and I really don't want to talk about that because I don't need it to be current right now. But I don't want to have to talk about that, so I don't put a date on it, right? So all the way down, you see all this experience, none of it has a date, so you don't have to put dates in your education. But if you have recent education, you should. Not all education goes there. You can also have licenses and certifications, okay? So that means whatever it means in your field of business. It could be your prior business, and it can also be your current business. So then here's the section for volunteer experience, right? And every time you see an icon on the side here, it means that that's an official business page of some kind, right? So I'm on the advisory circle for LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has a business page. I'm sorry, Illuminating Women has a LinkedIn business page, right? And so that's why the icon is showing up here. If I click on this, it's going to take me to that business page. And it's going to show you how many people are associated with it. And apparently I'm the only employee. That's interesting. Somebody else should be an employee of Illuminating Women LLC. And it's not that I'm a paid employee, but I'm affiliated, right? So that's the situation here. Okay, let's get down here again. Sorry, that took us away from that. If I click on, so this Academy of Music Northwest, I was there for a while. Oh, what does it say? Oh no, yeah, that's right. I wasn't there for a while at all. Anyway, these guys are a really premier classical music youth training organization. They have no presence on LinkedIn that I know of. So therefore, when I click on them, what'll show up is a search feed, okay? Well, nobody else is using that phrase, Academy of Music Northwest, so it's just telling me that this is an unclaimed page. Isn't that interesting? Last piece on this. Let's pick a different one. We'll go into my experience here. So I did a lot of work before as a contractor before I made my own business. And here's one of them. So I said quality, regulatory, and process improvement. That's the business versus what you see down here where GE Healthcare, there's an icon, right? And it says GE Healthcare. That's because they have a business page. That's why they have the icon. So this business doesn't have an icon. And if I clicked here, it would take me to a list of everybody who listed those things as a business item, right? So you only get to go to a business page if you have it there. So you'll see, this is the last piece, for my business, I have an icon because I have set up a page for my business. Now you might have 2 businesses that you're affiliated with. Maybe you're in a network marketing organization and maybe you have an independent business. That experience would be, you could have multiples because you see here it says till present. And this one also says till present. So I have multiple jobs. All right. So when you're doing your job descriptions, they need to be really minimal. This is almost too much on my principal role here, but I need to explain to people because I have to drive business towards this job entry. So I have an ongoing list of who I work with. I get sick of telling people who I work with. And in my case, who I'm working with right now is confidential, so I don't put that information up there. But when I finish somebody and we're there in the past, they go on my list. That's my rule for my industry. You have to figure out your rule for your industry. And you might not even want to list your clients at all. That's another possibility, especially if you do any kind of patients or individual person clients. That would not be appropriate. In my case, businesses are my clients, so it is appropriate. All right, let's see, what do you want to share? So let's get back up here to my feed. No, actually, let's go here. So if I go down to where it says activity, and I click this thing that says see all, it'll bring me to this dashboard and it'll show me what I've been doing. So all activity means everything I like, everything I comment on, everything I post, and I guess, and every article I write. I still haven't explored this documents tab. You all are welcome to do that on your own time. If I find insights, I might share them. I just haven't had time to do it. So this is important because this is what your brand is. Now, what's really different here than Facebook is if you like something, it shows up like this, okay? So Matilda had liked something on LinkedIn, and it showed up as if she had posted it herself. The difference is up here in the top, it tells you what the activity is. It says, in my case, I celebrated, because that's what that little clapping hands thing is. You have 4 different options. You can like, you can celebrate, you can love, you have 5 different options. You can find it insightful, or you can say curious. Now, I will say that on LinkedIn, curious seems to be replacing a frowny face for Facebook. So be careful when you say curious. If it's something obviously negative, that's bad news, like somebody went to jail, right? Or whatever terrible thing, then it's okay to use curious or insightful, but just be careful with curious, because there's no frowny face or down thumb option. That's what people use, right? I don't use the love a lot, but that's partly because of my business model. I'm not out here to be squishy, friendly, and huggy. That's not what I do for a living, right? But I celebrate a lot of things, and I like a lot of things. And every once in a while, I love things, especially if it's about someone I know well, or they've had something really interesting to say that I find incredibly insightful. So celebrate I'll use when people have a success with their business, or they get a promotion or whatever. And like is just kind of like. I also use celebrate lately when new products are getting launched to help fight COVID-19. That I use the celebrate a lot. Okay, so in your feed, people will see all your activity. Whoever you're connected to will see your activity, okay? So it's important to pay attention to what you like. And if there's drivel out there, even if it's from someone you care about, do not like their post if it's not professional. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, so here's a case where I commented, right? And then the comment shows up, right? So people would see this in the feed, in their feed, on their central news feed, they would see that I made this comment. And that's a very happy, friendly, this woman got hired. The woman on the right is a former vice admiral, and she got hired by the state of Washington, and she came out of my alma mater, University of Texas. So that was a freebie for me. I could connect the two and remind everybody that I went to the University of Texas. Woo! Hook 'em horns. Where are we? Anyway, here's a different one that I posted on. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's farther down here. Okay, Abbott Diagnostics just launched a test, okay, a COVID-19 test. And the press release is pretty crappy, and it doesn't give us the information we need for those of us that are in our industry, okay? It's not telling us a lot of things that we need to know. And people were posting what I would call somewhat combative, somewhat adversarial posts. And it's important on LinkedIn to not have Facebook behavior. Don't be adversarial with people outright. Don't say outright negative things. And boy, trolling will get you kicked off the platform. The other day, I was looking at the live update from the World Health Organization about COVID-19. and there were about 6 trolls on there. 2 of them in particular, 3 of them in particular were really bad. And I not only reported their posts, I ended up, because they were so bad, I reported their profiles. And they're probably kicked off the platform by now. And it's important. I think it's important for all of us to do as much as we're comfortable with policing this platform, because at the moment, it's the only place where there's not a ton of spam and fluff and trolling, okay? You know, I know most of us don't have trolling on our personal Facebook pages and our groups, but there's a lot of it on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter, and it's just horrendous on Twitter. And even Instagram is pretty bad. So it's important to report inappropriate stuff. And I do it a fair amount because I care about the platform. Okay, so I ended up having to make a post that was kind of summarizing some of the things people were saying and also bringing out some points that are really important for people to know about this test. And it's kind of frustrating to me because Abbott's a huge name in the test system world, and but they're not testing for part of what we know tells you that people are still currently infected. So this is about an antibody test that's going to tell you if you had COVID-19, and that's what the IgG antibody does, but it's not testing also for this IgM antibody, which tells you that someone's still infected. And that's been a really important thing. And I'm wondering, what the hell, Abbott? Why didn't you? So my personal reaction was, what the hell, Abbott? Are you not also testing for IgM with this test? And also, they didn't tell us like how you collect the specimen. Like you have to get blood from someone's arm, or can you do a finger stick on the finger, right? So I wrote this post to kind of bring that to light, but also remain positive, right? Great news, such a rapid commercialization, thank you. Looking at the press release, you know, it appears that this. So I started out with a compliment, right? And then I get down to my question, and, you know, I'm trying not to be too hard hitting. Okay, I'm seeing I have chat.
Yeah, it's okay, and I've answered it. And Deborah says, do you post articles that are only related to your business? And then just as a comment, we've got about 11 more minutes, and we need to get to the explore work, learning.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, you're right. See, we should have done 4 parts. Anyway, so do I post only about my business? Yes, I only post things that have some relationship to my business, but I do like things that are not directly related to my business, but I try not to go too far afield. And another thing, it really bothers me when people post about their families on LinkedIn. That's what Facebook is for, folks. Don't post about your family. I don't want to see your baby pictures. I don't want to see grandma's birthday party. No, that's not for LinkedIn, right? And also political stuff is complete well, I don't know if you're from a subway town. It's like the third rail. Do not post political things. I personally, in my business space, I have blacklisted about 14 people because they posted really inappropriate political things, and not all of them were right-wing people. Just, I mean, I tend to be a left of center person slightly, but I have actually put people on that list who are very far liberal, and yeah, they were inappropriate. And it just tells me that I don't want to deal with them in business because they don't have good boundaries.
Okay, and getting into the next one.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about, so that's enough on sharing, and I think you understand. If you have questions for me, please message me later on, and I'll work through things with you. So the important thing here that we're going to talk about today is the work tab. So there's some things here that are very useful. One is groups. This is how you get to the groups list. We're going to talk about groups next time. And here's SlideShare. And SlideShare is a really important tool. I'm going to open it in a separate tab. We'll come back to it in a moment. And SlideShare was an independent platform where people post slide decks of information on many, many topics. And it's free to download. And LinkedIn bought them about a year ago. And so now SlideShare is integrated into LinkedIn. So also here, learning. So learning tab has an entire platform where you can learn a little bit, or maybe more than a little bit, on almost any topic, okay? So up here it has browse, and under browse, when you click on that arrow, and this is where you should start, because what's down here right now is they've sort of filtered for me what they think I'm interested in. But if you're just getting started, this is going to be meaningless because it's going to be AI driven and have nothing to do with you personally, right? So always start up here at the browse tab and look at all these subjects: business analysis and strategy, business software and tools. Like I bet you that how to use Zoom is probably up here. Okay, there's probably a course on it. There's probably a course on many things like CRM tools. Jill, some of the things that you learn, QuickBooks is probably up here. Okay, well, actually, no, finance and accounting would probably be where QuickBooks is. All right, but you look at this range: career development, human resources, leadership management, marketing. There's who knows what's under marketing. I have not looked at this. For many of you, I would start right there. That learning trove could be amazing. Professional development, which is different than career development.
Can I stop you? I've got a question here.
Sure.
Teresa says a little clarification on the comment migration for Facebook to LinkedIn. Are all Facebook comments populated to LinkedIn? I believe that is not true. Is that true?
No, not unless you link your accounts. That would be a setting you'd have to make in Facebook to repopulate.
Okay.
So no, that wouldn't work that way. That's a setting that you have to do.
Did you have another question, Teresa?
No, I just think that's a very good thing for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have a very different persona on Facebook than I do on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you made that distinction, because I think that's really important, Christine. And I love these subjects. So I'm just keeping holding you on
Right,
task for about 8 minutes.
So some people some folks are interested in learning about software. And so software doesn't mean you're going to learn to code. So don't be afraid of this tab here for learning. If you want to learn some basics about Excel, that's a great place to start, right? Tableau is an amazing data tool that lets you display data in 100 different ways. And I am actually going to be going in here myself when I have a little time and learning about how to use Tableau because I love it so much. PowerPoint, you want to use PowerPoint better? Here you go, people. So there's a lot of learning platforms out there and a lot of people trying to sell you online courses. Don't pay money yet. Come look here first and see what's offered. And if you need more, great. Here you go, Office 365. Are you struggling with how to use Word? Go check this out. If you have Outlook that you use for email and calendaring, that's a great place to look, right? Google Analytics. You have a website? Are you struggling? Don't pay your web person to tune up everything. Come here, get informed first, learn more about Google Analytics and things like search engine optimization, right? SO. Everyone's talking about, SO. Everyone's paying people a ton of money to do SO. Well, come look here first before you pay people. Let's see. Oh, well, that's weird. That just changed. I don't know how that, technology. So for example, here's this, I'm hovering over here on the left. I'm on the business tab. Then there's the creative tab that shows me different things. Also has a software list for creative, right? So you want to learn InDesign, you want to learn Photoshop, hang on here, Illustrator, all these cool things, right? And also creative video. When you want to do video work, great, come look at this tab and it'll teach you things about how to use video. So first of all, this is all a hover function, right? I'm hovering with my mouse, business, creative, technology, okay? There's a ton of content here, right? Then it has tools for you where you can do things like set a goal, like how much education time do you want to spend? We looked at this very briefly on the first session. We haven't come back to it. But you can get in there and it'll walk you through setting a goal of how much time each week you want to work on that. And then there's probably there's notifications. So it'll notify you for sure when you're on the LinkedIn software page on the LinkedIn platform. That's the word I'm looking for.
Christine, I got a question. It is.
Let me finish my point. Wait.
Okay.
So it'll probably also notify you on your app if you have it on your phone, and that's a setting you would adjust on your iPhone or on your Android phone. So that might take a little bit of exploring, but you can get it to, if you just walk around with your phone all day, it can notify you like, hey, you're supposed to do learning this week. Okay, I'm done. Yes, Jill.
All right. Kim has a question. Is this all under premium? It looks like there's a charge for these classes.
So some of them should be free. Some of them should be free. I do have a premium account, and you know what? It's hard to toggle to show free versus, yeah, so I don't think they all charge. I think there's a whole different, there's different layers. I think there's a free layer no matter who you are. Then there's a free layer, much bigger free layer if you're premium. And I think it's like $45 or $50 a month. I don't pay a lot for my LinkedIn premium. It's not terribly high. Is it that much a month? No, I don't. Actually, I think it's less. How much am I paying? That's a great question. Let me get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
I'll share you guys messaging on that one. But in any case, you can definitely explore there and get, and there's free. And they also have a like sign up for, I think it might be 90 days right now where you sign up for free. And if you can keep track of that, that's a great offer to take advantage of. If you don't want to pay when your free portion is done, then put that in your calendar so you remember to turn it off, right? But I would take advantage of that right now. Okay, the last piece, so SlideShare and articles, just really briefly. So I posted an article, and my article had a slide deck, and it caused me to learn more about how they're using SlideShare. So SlideShare, this shouldn't be too monetized. SlideShare's always been free. So if you all want to check that out, and if you're having problems getting into what's available on SlideShare, let me know. But there's a lot of overlap between SlideShare and learning. And so you can go in here and search for something, and you will find someone's posting of a slide deck. Now, most of these slide decks don't have any audio. They're just basically PowerPoint slides, and most of them have been put in a PDF format. Some of them are up there in the native PowerPoint format. Mine, I always put up in PDF because I don't want someone to be able to take my intellectual property straight out of PowerPoint. Anyway, they also have courses in presentation. See, here we are. Oh, here we go. Get the training you need to stay ahead. So they're teaching you how to do things with presentations. So how did I get there? Let's go back. I was on the main SlideShare page, and I went to presentation courses. And that talks about the how to present in general, right? Then they also have one, how to learn PowerPoint. Okay, now, is some of this behind a paywall? I don't know. But the actual PowerPoints on how to use PowerPoint probably shouldn't be behind a paywall, right? And what I love about this is there's levels, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Okay, and I'm hoping that most of the beginners are not behind a paywall. Okay, so there's a lot to explore. Can
you get us to article real quick just to finish up the slide?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so if you're on your home page here, so here, your landing page, which is also your home page, because your profile is not your home page in LinkedIn. This is your home page. So up here it says start a post. So this is where I share news clippings or articles from the web and stuff from others. If you're going to actually write something from scratch, that's not really a post. That's an article. And you see down here, there's another link for articles. I click on that one, and it basically takes you to a blog page. It's very much, it's similar to WordPress. It's not the same, but it's similar. And there's less you can do, a little bit less that you can do on this. It's not as powerful as WordPress and other blog formats, but it's pretty darn powerful, right? So you can put your photo here, whatever your header is going to be for your main photo for the article. Then you write your headline, and then you write, and every time you hit the enter key, you're going to make a new block. That's a icon for a block, and if you click on that, it'll show you that your block can be, well, text is the default, right? So if I just get out of there, if I just start typing, I hit enter apparently. Okay, that was weird. All right, so you can just type, or you can click on the little box, and that's where you can insert a photo. You can insert a video clip. And apparently they're saying now that you can insert slides, but what I found out is that when you click that, it really takes you to SlideShare, and it takes you out of articles, okay? So don't freak out. If you have a slide deck to put up there, you'll go through what I went through, but most of you are not gonna put up slide decks at this point. You can also post, have a link. And so you can post links, and snippet, I guess, is more like a quote. So that's sort of the basics there. Publishing menu, it does keep track. If you start drafting one and you haven't finished, it'll show up here under drafts. Under my articles, let's click on that. Oh, look at that, I have made 2. So it does remember those. So it doesn't prompt me what's in there. Like I was expecting to see a list that said 2, because I've written 2 LinkedIn articles, but it's not. I just have to click on it. And I guess share a draft, I don't understand the difference between my draft and share a draft, because if you go into my draft, it's going to allow you to finalize it and publish from there. So anyway, you see back to the main thing. Pretend I've put in a picture here and a headline, and I've written my content. It automatically saves it for you. That's what it's telling you up here. But you can also publish. And so publish is when it goes public, right? One of the things I'll say at the end of this topic is that at the end of your article, you should try and add in hashtags. So I'm going to go to open one of mine. I think I did it. Gosh, I hope I did it. Yeah, there was a couple years ago. And then this one, okay, let's take a look at it. So here's my article I wrote last week, and it was talking about this guidance that came out that everybody needs to read in my industry, and that's just where I embedded my slide deck, right? And down here, you'll see all these hashtags. So hashtags are really important to drive people to your page. So whatever your industry is, whatever your topic is, you want to include those hashtags. So in my newsfeed, part of what's driving my newsfeed, and we're going to talk about it next week, is hashtags that I've included. Subjects that I want to follow. Some of them you can follow by actual subject description. We'll get to this next week. And some of them you can follow just by entering the hashtags. Okay.
And Christine, one of the things I want to just right before we go here and we finish up is one of the things, this is important because even if you don't have a business and you are in a profession of some sort, following these or even creating articles can get your attention for somebody who's looking to hire, as well as, and Christine will go in more next week about how to find a job and looking for those who are hiring, especially now. She showed us quickly and it's in the last video, how many people really are hiring right now. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of hiring going on right now. It's just, can you adapt yourself to, and that some of that's about career counseling, and some of that's about how to write a resume, and that's like a whole nother class. I mean, I do wish we could get like Chrissy Perry to come on and talk about how to write a resume. I don't want to do that myself because I have my own bias, but she's the professional. So maybe you should reach out to her for that.
So just to finish off the recording, because I want to respect the recording, and then we can maybe look at somebody's profile when we're not recording and answer any other questions. Just the last couple of words there, Christine, before I stop the recording.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jill's made some really good points, and I do think that this, just to close out this topic about articles, yes, especially if you're trying to break into a field, it's really good to share your knowledge. So LinkedIn in general is really about sharing knowledge with each other. It's a platform where people are attempting to share knowledge. Now, some people do it by, really, really lazy advertising. And unfortunately, most of us know that it's lazy advertising they're doing. But if you share meaningful content and you make insightful comments and you write, even if they're not too long, interesting articles. And by the way, don't write articles that are too long. Some people do, and that's okay, I guess, and for some audiences, but keep it brief is usually better. It's just a great way to get professional exposure and get help. I mean, you'll learn a lot about what you do on LinkedIn once you refine your feed and connect with the right people. Okay.
Right. This was wonderful. You can learn more and watch this on the Illuminating Women YouTube channel. check out illuminatingwomen.com to learn about how we're meeting virtually to stay connected during this time. And keep sharpening your tools in your tool shed. We will make it through this time. Thank you, Christine, so much. And I will discontinue this recording as of now. Thanks, Christine. Bye-bye, everybody else.
Thanks, everyone.